welcome to my channel. Well, as you can see, this is unloaded. You can see that's the good thing about a revolver is even with the action closed, you can usually just look at the side. I mean, this is not the proper way to verify a weapon's empty, but that's just one of the things that if you just practice and do always, which is safety. If somebody hands you a gun and says it's unloaded, or somebody's messing around with a gun and you haven't seen them clear the action, just correct them. I mean, there are a lot of idiots out there. Believe me, I've seen them. I worked at a gun range. But the reason I've got this out here is this is going to be a rambly video, and I may talk about firearms and self-defense and stuff like that, and so that affects the ads and everything. So I'm going to declare it, hey. But safety, is always an important thing. And I've been watching videos about guns and stuff recently. I always loved guns. It's just another thing that I was deeply immersed in and had almost, I've got more knives than I ever had guns. But I mean, I had quite an extensive collection of, I'll start off with mostly pistols. Yeah, I had rifles, shotguns, and everything else. But if you learn how to shoot a pistol accurately, the rest of those shotguns and rifles are easy. Compared to that, because you have a longer sight radius. Yeah, it can be difficult, and longer range shooting rifles is another challenge and stuff like that. But you can do long range shooting with pistols also. But one of the things I mentioned in a members only video recently, and I'll bring up here is I've got several medical issues with myself that I won't go into, but I just recently added one from stupidity, and the reason why I add this, the reason why I talk about this is it's not to try to gain sympathy from anyone or anything like that. It's just to inform, and this really goes out more to my senior knife people out there. Many of you are younger than me, but are starting to get up in age, and some are, are even older. And if you can learn from my mistakes, then this video's been worthwhile. That's really mainly the only purpose of it. So let's get into what happened. I was sitting in a chair backwards. I don't know if y'all have ever done this, but you can sit in a chair forward or backwards. The only difference is the back is going to be facing you instead of facing your back, and I was sitting in a wooden chair in the bedroom, and it's crowded in there, so I've got a little table. It's got a bunch of knives sitting on it and everything in boxes. And then if you turn around normally, I face the bench, which is set up for like mostly lock picking, but I've done videos on knives and stuff there. So I was in a limited room space area, and what happened was I saw a knife that I wanted to pick up out of the box, and it was in front of me. And so what I did was I leaned forward. This is just something simple, It's just another reason why it's knives and guns out here. You think about protecting yourself and everything else. Man, what usually gets you, it's like accidents a lot of times. It's not what you're prepared for. I've carried a gun on me for many years, and there's been more than one occasion that I had a gun that I either saved my own life or someone else's life because I had a gun, and I didn't have to use it, but I was prepared to. And the perpetrator, always the bad guy in this case. I was never, like a criminal going after an innocent person. It was always me trying to stop somebody from hurting somebody else, myself or somebody I care for. And I never had to fire. But if I carried, like I said, decades carrying a gun and never have to use it. And what usually gets me, those incidents, although rare, make an impression on you if you've ever had to do that. I mean, it wakes you up. But pain can get you also. And man, when I leaned forward to pick up that knife, I forgot about, that my ribs are right up there. And I got myself right above the heart, pressing with that wood. And it was so painful that my eyes opened wide. If you had a camera looking at me, it would have been hilarious to look on my face, how my expression changed, because I have to sleep, I'm leaning forward, and all of a sudden, ugh. And I think what it was, the problem was I didn't just like touch, the top of the chair. I leaned forward because I needed more room. It was out of reach, I was trying to extend my hand to get something, and I was pushing my body to do it. And man, I don't know if the nerves are slower, when you get older or whatever, but it instantly, like gave me a lot of pain. Well, that's not any big deal. I didn't crack a rib. I've had cracked ribs before, but I did bruise my chest, and man, it's knocked the wind out of me basically. Not literally, because I checked my oxygen saturation and everything, and I'm 98. I even had like 100 oxygen saturation from walking and everything and just breathing normal. So I don't think I got a collapsed lung or anything. I'd know it, with that. And it's not a broken rib, because there's a different kind of pain when you have a cracked rib than a bruised rib. But man, I did myself in pretty good. And again, it's one of those things you can prepare for whatever. And what's going to get you is what you're not prepared for. And how do you prepare for the unprepared? Well, I don't know, sometimes you just have to, it's knowledge, you just have to remember, when you're older, you're going to damage easier, and it's going to take you a lot longer to heal than when you were young. I mean, in your mind, you might think, oh, I'm 20, 30 years old. Yeah, you could think that, but your body's going to tell you, no, you ain't that young anymore, And it's just simple things like a fall. My mom broke her hip because she was at a mailbox and someone said, "Hi, Barbara." And it startled so much, she lost her balance, fell down, and broke her hip. And it took her out for months. She had to go to rehab and get a whole new hip built and everything, I mean, so, yeah, everybody wants to live, forever and everything. But the thing is, no matter how careful you are, and no matter how much you watch, sooner or later something's going to try to get you. I mean, it may be a microbe, it may be gravity, it may be your own stupidity. The only thing we can really protect against, is knowledge is power a lot of times. So what prevents you from having to use something like this or like this a lot of times is never put yourself in a situation where you need to. When you're young and crazy, you go out more and you do stuff, and you can get into a lot of situations that normal people wouldn't. When you get older, you tend to try to avoid that, but still, there's always something out there wanting to kill you, hurt you or kill you. And it's either your lack of knowledge or your lack of awareness. Something is, there's nothing you can really do about it. So all I'm trying to say is that's the reason why I haven't made as many videos recently, is because, man, when I don't take anything for it, I haven't gone to a doctor, I don't even take aspirin, I just deal with this. But it's not bad as far as like breathing, unless I take a deep breath or I cough or I sneeze, and then I notice it. And eventually, this is going to go away. And thank you for, any of the well-wishers out there that, send any thoughts and stuff, but I mean, that's not my purpose on this. I'm not looking for that. I'm just trying to warn everybody that no matter how prepared you are, sometimes the danger is from within. It's a trip hazard. You don't think about it. I got this cord here. It's no big deal. And when you get older, man, I'm telling you, a fall can make a big difference. A cut, could get infected. I mean, so you're really, even though, inevitably there's nothing we can do, sooner or later something's going to get us. But the trick is to try to make it through life, with all your digits, like right here, there's a hammer bite, from this gun right here. It's got a very strong single action trigger pull, because I was measuring, once again, this is unloaded. I was measuring the trigger pull. I had it back in single action mode, and I had a trigger pull gauge on there. And I instead of putting this in a vise and everything, I was holding it with my hand. And yeah, it's like about a 2.5 pound trigger pull on single action. But man, you know, um, that woke me up, and when I was in my 20s and stuff like that, if I got something like that within uh, maybe a week or so, it'd be gone. You'd have a hard time even finding it there. This, I mean, it's not as bad as the rib cage, but still, um, yeah. My caution to everyone out there is just be careful with everything. With firearms, you got to be extra safe, because there's always a possibility of what they call an accidental or negligent discharge. And it's basically, the accident is you were negligent. You did something wrong. You didn't check the weapon. And if you didn't follow another safety thing, which is always keep it pointed in the safe direction, then you really made a big mistake. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's kind of like a little safety thing, is always try to be safe with stuff. With knives, there's not a whole lot we can do other than try to be careful. But a lot of times, if you're just putting oil on the blade, you can whoop. And yeah, you might brag about your sharp blade until it takes off your fingers or something. But yeah, there's risk versus rewards. There's always advantages and disadvantages to everything. So sorry for making this a little too rambly, but I just wanted to let everybody know the reason for my slowdown in video output recently is because sometimes it's even hard to breathe, man. I was walking, and I had to stop in my middle of normal. I can walk 2 miles without having to stop or take a breather or anything like that, and I had to stop recently. And I didn't even walk yesterday, simply because it's painful, man. You got to give yourself time to heal. And yeah, so there you go. And yeah, that's all I've got to say is watch what you're doing, even on bruises. Especially, man, if you've ever cracked a rib or broken ribs, oh man, every breath you take in is sharp pain. And I know other people are out there that, that are suffering a much worse pain than this. Some of my viewers are going through this every day. They go through pain. And I'd just like to say, man, I feel for you because I know what it's like. I mean, this has taken a lot of, it's depressing, man, to be in pain. It's depressing to hurt, so be safe out there, everyone. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.